Hello, this is John Gould, Senior Principal Consultant from JFC Associates. Today we're going to be demonstrating the IBM Maximo Asset Management Application implementation efforts for JFK AirTrain site. This demonstration will showcase the various functions and tools that we have implemented for this site specific to the demonstration requirements for the IBM 2014 Beacon Award. To begin, you can see here that we have implemented a product called MaxBing, a JFC Associates product. It is a visualization tool for the tracking of assets, locations, and work orders. The actual efforts to implement this are born out of a need for visualization of work at the various sites within the JFK AirTrain location. As you can see, we've implemented this at the Start Center level. We've also implemented this within the various other applications for assets, locations, and work orders. And you can see here by hovering over the pin, we can get information based on this particular work order, including the record number, description, and status and location. You can do this as well as the other locations. And from this results that we can go to and see the work orders directly within the application, and also pull up the mapping functions and features specific to that record that we're on right here. From here, we're going to demonstrate and show several other functions and features that we've included in this product, in this package, of which first and foremost is the daily shift application. The daily shift application was born out of the need to move paper-based processes directly within the Maximo application. We have several examples here that we'll show you. First of which is the single result that we're going to open. As you can see, the daily shift is a custom application that we created specific to the JFK AirTrain site, information that they need to operate their various trains within the train system. From here, you can see we've identified the day, the weather conditions, as they are tracked via our integration with NOAA Weather to the daily shift application. We've also integrated the weather view directly within Start Centers, allowing for a single point of information where previously this information had to be gathered from another data source going directly to the website. From here, we can see the level of service requirements based on the train consists that are developed for providing service, both in peak and off-peak time, trains that need maintenance based on work orders against, as well as any alarms or notations received during the peak or off-peak period. We can also see if there are any open occupancy work permits, and then also any track power status issues, guideway restrictions, any related work orders that need to happen, any other restrictions of our equipment, and then also any specific escalators, moving walkways, elevators, out of service dates. This is important information for the operations center team to know based on work orders that have been reported, any efforts that are happening for station cleaning managers, any specific instructions from management, who the specific supervisor personnel that are on shift that are required to be available for response. The second tab from the application identifies shift activity. This is where notes can be kept, creating the ability to create work orders and service requests directly from the application. Any AirTrain agent location information necessary, special equipment or special notes. In addition, we have a log tab that allows for logs to be created during those shifts if there are different folks that are being in that shift report that need to report different things. We've also had the ability to create a snapshot of this shift, and by doing so, this will create a point-in-time reference for that report should there be an incident that requires immediate notification or information. This will actually provide a PDF report of a summary of everything that had been entered to date and we'll provide that report via our history tab here. So on this history tab, we have a daily shift capture, and it will actually open this report. So this is the actual PDF printout of exactly what was entered into the system at the time, any open work orders, things of that nature, as well as train consists based on peak and off-peak period. The next portion that we'll show you today is the implementation of max locate for assets. Go to menu, go to assets, and go to max locate assets. Max locate assets is a tool that was developed to identify specific locations of assets as they pertain to the system map for JFK AirTrain. This is scalable in the sense that the PDF file that is imported to this allows us to have a very well vectored image like actual requirements for the Port Authority. From here, we're able to actually selection and identify to drop onto this maintenance assignment. For instance, you can take a to where it is located on the maintenance assignment. This is dynamic in the sense that I can move this again. When I exit or move to another record, it saves the assets location against this maintenance assignment map. This allows for planning and scheduling functions to occur more seamlessly as when work and assets are identified for maintenance requirements. Planning and scheduling teams will be able to identify by pulling up the map in the visual scheduling application to identify specifically where work and occupancy permits need to be put into place. From here, we're going to go to the permit application. The permit application is used for two types of permit needs for the Port Authority JFK AirTrain site. This includes work permits and occupancy permits. The results set here. As you can see, we have OP, occupancy permit, WP, work permit, and additionally maintenance work permits. They're all requirements based on access to areas within the train system, as they know that the train system itself is an energized area, and occupancy requires that permitting be identified to allow the appropriate access. As you can see, this is a custom application that we developed for the client based on specific needs that they had. This process was once paper-based and may take several days to get into a approved status. But now, this particular process will allow them to create their draft versions of permits as well as identify the specific needs that were in that former paper-based process and ultimately provide insight into their operation. These are fully statusable via the change status application or change status functionality. Cancel, close, deactivate, approve, if you take over for approval. From a new record perspective, we've built this to be a dynamic subset so that based on the type, we don't have any information known until we pick which type of permit it is. Once it's an occupancy permit, we'll get to certain requirements for occupancy permit. If we change this to work permit, as you can see, the screen dynamically changes. This allows for easy data entry requirements for the technicians or operators that are filling out the requests and allow for a more seamless view and effort to identify occupancy and work permit requirements. The next portion we're going to show you today is the max locate work order function. Based on the various assets associated to this PDF max locate view, we're able to visually see where the work orders are. In this particular test environment, you're only doing a smaller subset, but this effort will help the maintenance planners and schedulers identify the work that needs to be performed in the various maintenance assignments. The plans and maintenance assignments, as you can see, are sections of track and sections of area that require certain procedures to be followed. From a scheduling perspective and a permitting perspective, scheduling folks will be able to pull up in context and see and identify where all work orders are within the train system and develop the appropriate permitting and maintenance assignment plans necessary. From here we can see that by hovering over or clicking on the specific number identified on the map itself, we can see the list of work orders that are open, and then clicking on the individual work orders will bring the pop-up open another window with the work order. The specific functionality required to perform the maintenance activity for the client necessitated a visualization of all work that needed to be carried out. Previously, this was just done via list files and provide the necessary values for better planning and scheduling efforts. From here, we're going to show the Maximo visual scheduling tool that we have implemented at the JFK AirTrain site. It is a tool provided by IBM in partnership with JFC to develop the specific planning and scheduling activities required for the work management procedure. You can see that we have the ability to filter out and move based on the calendaring function that you similarly would see in a typical Microsoft Outlook calendar. It allows the individual to highlight over the specific work orders or permits or maintenance assignment needs that are within the different systems. These are based on the actual work orders target start dates. You have the ability to drag and move events to other locations to build a better schedule. So based on the requirements and viewing of the maintenance assignments required, you can then visually see where all the work needs to happen and more appropriately load balance the schedule. We have the ability to save the transaction, which will now update this particular work order with the latest date and time. You can see going back out to 1 month. It maintains this particular view of what we wanted to have saved to have. We also have the ability to filter our record here. So we want to see, we don't want to see occupancy permits. We can pull off everything except for occupancy permits. We only want to see work orders. We don't want to see maintenance assignments. We have the ability to filter this list down. It is statusable based on what statuses you'd like to search for. If you'd like to visually see what is in progress happening within the last month, we have the ability to perform those functions as well. Additionally, another function that we've implemented throughout the application is help documentation. Typically, attached documents have only been associated to specific records, work orders, locations, or assets. We developed the functionality called Max Help with partnership with IBM to allow for documents to be added specific to applications or areas of Maximo at a more general point of interest. So we have a tutorial here that we've included with the permitting application. Opening this will allow for the users to more effectively open and pull up information regarding the functions needed for this particular area of Maximo. We've developed custom training documentation for every custom solution that we've provided. Being simple and intuitive, it will allow the end users to have a point of reference should there be any particular points that they need to know further information about, or any new hires that require additional training and exercise. Lastly, we've implemented SMS text messaging from the communications templates, particularly beneficial for managing escalations and alerting individuals or groups via text messages. As you can see, we have a SMS detail section in addition to the typical template details you would find on a standard communication template via email. We have the ability to also identify in the recipient sections additional SMS roles, persons, person groups, or specific phone numbers. This effort is particularly valuable for monitoring, escalation monitoring for certain failure types and being able to alert individuals of requirements for response in more real-time fashion. Given the nature of the transportation needs for the JFK Airport site, AirTrain reliability and uptime is critical to ensuring customers are arriving to the terminal at the appropriate time. As such, notifications of failures and issues typically handled via phone calls and emails are now able to be monitored and managed in more real-time functionality. So with that, we can come back and start finish here. As you can see, we've simplified the user interface. We've allowed for the various groups of individuals within the JFK AirTrain site to have a single point of engagement for all their work and asset management functions as they pertain to utilizing the IBM Maximo asset management platform. Thank you very much for your time.